Oh my gosh, Joshua in North Carolina.
I was thinking about Joshua.
Participating in astrology? Ooh.
I'm very curious about Joshua.
Yeah, Joshua in North Carolina. You're talking to Eric and V.
Hi, Eric and V.
Hi. Oh, we've got such crisp, clear callers today.
We do. Are you calling on a computer or on your phone?
On the computer. I've got a condenser mic set up here.
Oh,
ooh, nice and buttery. All right, Joshua. So hit us. What the hell about astrology?
Yeah. So I called a few months ago. It was just Eric on. Eric was very tired, but we had a good conversation.
Ooh, it's one of those calls. I remember that week. That was fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We talked about grief and soulmates.
Oh, is that the one where I lost my shit?
No. It was the episode you lost your shit, but you did not lose your shit at Joshua.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Hi, Joshua.
I remember
right
you.
After
Welcome
was
back.
A bad time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You were that salve that I needed from that anger. Like I appreciated you. Okay. So I'm sorry. We keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. It's all good. Yeah. So I have a friend who is very interested in astrology. And we've had some good conversations about it because I want to learn, what it is about astrology that interests him. And he gets a lot of deep personal enjoyment and fulfillment from it. Mm-hmm. But when I asked him, does he accept the truth claim that, somehow the positions of the stars and planets affect his life in some way, he doesn't accept the pseudoscience. Okay. So he rejects the truth claims, but participates in astrology as sort of a personal interest. And so my question was, when it comes to things like astrology or, I buy essential oils and put them in my bath because I like how they smell. Mm-hmm. I don't think they affect my spirit or anything. So my question is...
You got to be real careful with those, by the way. You're going to wind up with a burning sensation that is not comfortable.
I have been there.
As have I.
That is an uncomfortable, like.
Be super careful with what you're putting in the bath, my friend. Just as a caring statement towards you.
So that's what that
don't
is.
Make our.
Oh my gosh! Yep.
Well, maybe you might want to see a doctor, but. So.
Okay. Well, barring going back and examining what I'm putting in my bath. To what extent should we participate or not participate in these things that can be pseudoscience? Because my concern is, normalizing things that people will take and run with as truth when they're not.
There's the rub. That's the rub. No, you got it. So when I was a kid, I was a rock collector and I collected crystals. There are other people who collect crystals who think that those crystals can heal them and have memories. I think that getting involved in something because you're enjoying it, I think you absolutely should. But I think that in the same way that we talk about intent and impact, doing something like astrology, your intent could be, hey, this is a fun game. That doesn't mean that's going to be your impact. And so I would just advise that you own your impact and make sure that when you talk about it, you're talking about it in a way that robs it of all of that woo. You can say, hey, this was a really funny or fun thing. And if somebody says, oh, wow, do you really think that Jupiter in retrograde is impacting the way I'm working?
Jupiter be in retrograde?
I have no. I just tried.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know. Tell us in the comments. Can Jupiter be in retrograde? Yeah, you are 100%.
Yeah, as long as you're clear that that's not the case, then yeah, go nuts. Just make sure that you're owning your impact and recognize that your impact can be a lot more wide-reaching than you mean or that you think, because you could be, just like you said, legitimizing something that people use in place of medicine, to make big decisions in their lives when that could be harmful to their well-being.
Absolutely. And I think it's that hidden consequence, the ramifications that we can't see, that kind of scare me a little bit. Because I know so many people who have one of those Himalayan salt lamps. I think they're really cool. They look cool, And very few of the people who own them that I know of actually think they're,
ionizing,
changing the frequencies of the ions in it. But yeah, it's like, to what extent should we be purchasing these things? Because people who sell them often do push that pseudoscience. And to normalize that feels a little icky to me.
Sure. I don't know. I had a very different viewpoint before really having a good understanding and relationship with V.
Hi.
It really it does. Because I think that you could possibly treat it as an opportunity to teach. Let's say you get into astrology and you're able to get into groups of people who are vulnerable and use that as an opportunity to be like, hey, by the way, this is all bullshit. I hope you're using this as a game, like, or hey, what are you getting out of that? Like, I'm thinking about, I'm on this subreddit, and I absolutely shouldn't be, because it only brings my blood pressure up. It's called Shit Mom Groups Say.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, boy.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. But the only way you're going to get through to those Facebook mom groups is if you find yourself in one. And
good point.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I don't think you should be disallowed from doing the things that bring you joy. Just take some ownership of your impact. That's all. I don't think it needs to be so cut and dry that you remove your own opportunity to find fulfillment,
I do. And I think that's a very good way of putting it. We all have things that bring us enjoyment, and the way that you worded that, to own the impact, I think is really good. So I appreciate that viewpoint.
Thank you. And the other side of that is, don't expect everyone is just okay with what your intent was, because intent stops mattering when impact hits,
Sure.
The best of intentions are great until you really hurt somebody. And then you could say, oh, I didn't mean it. You still there are still consequences. So V, is there anything you wanted to add? I know that I kind of talked about you in front of you, and that feels weird for me. So please say something.
So I think I'm really happy with your answer. It feels gratifying to see the difference in how you engage with these topics now, because it is a lot more nuanced and a lot more compassionate, I think, than it was prior, which is also fine. But Joshua, there are a couple other things that I want to just make sure that we're being internally consistent about here, because I agree with Eric 100%. But I also want to push back on the idea that certain things are inherently more harmful than others, or more fake than other things. So, like, for example,
do you have an example?
Yeah, I'm not going to leave you hanging with that. That was very badly stated on my end.
No, it's all
credit
good.
scores. Are they real?
What do you mean by real?
As in, do they? Yeah, exactly.
Take me to the credit score.
Right. Like, do credit scores actually
Platonic credit
accurately
score.
tell you what somebody is like? No. It is a bad system that does not accurately reflect reality or give you predictive power over what will happen to X person tomorrow, right? Except that's how we use them. We use them as a predictive measure of somebody, often with a moral component. Are you good with money? Do you pay things on time? How reliable are you if I were to give you a loan? And it was made up in the 80s, right? And it's run by a couple of shady organizations that don't have any government oversight. And we use it day to day, and we think about it way more than we should. And it will impact your life moving down the road. And it's harmful to participate in that system, but we really don't have a choice. It's not true. We do it anyway. We are all complicit in participating in it. And until it goes away, it's going to actively harm people. If we are going to
Okay.
hold a line with certain things, you can't practice astrology because it doesn't have accurate predictive power and it will hurt people if they take it too seriously. Therefore, don't do this thing you love. Then we must hold that line for other things that are harder to deconstruct and harder to opt out of. And so for me, we need to be able to look at each thing that we participate in, most of which have some level of attempts at actively explaining reality that fail, and say, which ones are doing the most harm? Are we complicit in engaging with them and participating? And if the goal is to actively reduce the most harm we can, then the number of people who are harmed by credit scores are probably higher than the number of people harmed by taking astrology too seriously. So you are 100% open, allowed to pick and choose what you care about. Everyone should, I think, pick an area they are passionate about and focus on that. Put their energy there. That's how we change shit. But if the argument is going to be participating in a fake system or a fake way of looking at the world could harm other people, therefore don't do it, that has to be applied to everything, not just the things that you personally disagree with or the things that are easy to reject.
If you plan on being internally consistent with that logic.
Exactly. If the goal is to be internally consistent. If it's not, cool, pick and choose. If you see active harm in one area, focus on that. That is cool. You can be aware of the other problems and just focus on the one, but you have to be aware of the other things in order to be consistent internally. So that's my spiel.
Couldn't that bring you down to an what is the term? Oh, that's okay. I'll no, I lost it.
Okay. Joshua, what are your thoughts on that?
So that was a very great point. And I do, in fact, want to be internally consistent. I want to make sure I'm applying, my efforts equally. And you made a good point that you're kind of hinting at the relative privation thing. There could be bigger problems out there, but it's still okay to focus on smaller problems as long as we're aware of the bigger ones.
Exactly.
And I'm a finance guy. Credit scores give me heart palpitations. So I'm with you there. And I want to make it clear that my goal is not to, point at a group of people doing something that, accepting truth claims and say, no, you can't do that, or you can't follow astrology or participate in that because it's harmful. I don't want to prescribe anything on anyone, but I'm really looking inward toward myself and thinking about what can I do to improve the world around me just by making small decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you should, though, if you see that somebody is taking part in astrology and are making medical or buying a house type decisions, I think you should speak up. Again, it's just seeing what people are using it for. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just being, anyway.
No, I think you're absolutely right. If you are seeing harm done in an area that you know about, go and try and help, right? That is as simple as we can make it. And that's all you need to worry about doing, I think, in order to be an activist or a humanist. Speak up, help where you can, reduce harm if you have the opportunity to. The only thing I would say is, if we're going to be relying on some of the more rote responses to things like enjoying astrology for fun, which are, think about the long-term impact of buying into something that isn't real. Yes, we should do that, but we cannot pick and choose where we apply that logic in that case. Because otherwise, we are just cherry picking.
I don't know if I agree entirely on that, because one is a system that you're forced into, another is a hobby.
Okay, well then
You know.
that is a caveat that we could then dive into.
Yeah, it's not like, hey, I'm picking up capitalism today. Oh, you should be careful about that. It's going to cause danger.
We're not rich enough to say that. Other people do.
You know,
other people say
like,
that.
oh, I'm gonna credit score tomorrow. Ooh, I wouldn't do that. That sounds dangerous. Like, I don't think that those things are a 1-to-1 necessarily. But I see your point. I just want to.
No, as we get more
Underscore
granular
it.
and add those caveats in, then we can have that conversation.
Okay.
That's my point.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Joshua, thank you for calling in. This was fun.
Yeah, this was great, and I'm glad I got to talk to both of you this time.
Yay!
And it was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for calling in.
Have a good one.
You too.
Okay, I zoned for a minute because all I could imagine for a good 2 minutes was platonic credit scores. Is there a platonic credit given
because all
no,
three organizations have variables that the others don't follow. So there is literally no platonic credit score. Even if there was a platonic realm, it wouldn't exist there.
And I'm wondering, like, would it necessarily be maximum for everybody, or is somebody just so bad with their finances that even their platonic credit score is disappointing? Like, that feels like a beautiful burn that I'm just going to keep in my back pocket for someday. I don't know. That's where I went during that call. I'm so sorry, but you got me thinking about
but cool.
platonic credit scores. Okay.